All right, let's rock talk. People don't know what they want. It's part of human nature. And a lot of the times, people don't know what they're doing. Most of the time, in fact. Now, this is kind of a multifaceted statement. Subconsciously, you don't really know what your behaviors are originated in, or why you do the things that you do. But you also don't know what you're doing from the perspective of you can't know what you don't know, which is to say, when you're ignorant on a topic, part of being ignorant on a topic is being blind to the facts that you don't have in front of you that are required for you to have to not be ignorant, which is kind of the whole nature of being ignorant. Being ignorant is very simply lacking knowledge and access to elements and facts which are pertinent to what you're doing. You know, when you're ignorant at construction and you're trying to hang a cupboard, you might not know to find a stud before, screwing it to the wall because you don't know what you don't know. Now, I mean, obviously the antidote to ignorance is to go get educated, to go learn. Like, go apprentice for a construction person and learn what they have to teach by doing what they tell you to do from the ground up, starting with fetching and identifying what tools are what and when they're needed, and then what to do with them. Well, living your life is much the same, isn't it? I mean, granted, no one on this earth is going to live your exact life. Only you're going to live your life. But there's many people that live lives comparable to yours. It wouldn't be that difficult for you to maybe casually and either covertly or overtly observe what they do in situations that are similar to those that you find your own self in, right? So you can learn by doing as others do. When you see a guy at the end of your block who has, a way better lawn than you probably want to see what products he's using, what his procedure is to have that nice lawn, right? I mean, it follows all throughout your life that you do very similar things for all elements of your existence. Well, then there's other entities than just people, such as businesses, which for some ridiculous reason have been granted individual rights. Well, businesses are a sort of entity on those grounds because they're, defined as something with individual rights, even though they're not an individual. Businesses can learn from other businesses that are similar to them, that are more successful than them. And businesses being people, I mean, you're learning from your, competitors. What are other rideshare drivers doing that I'm not doing that makes them get more rides per day than me? Well, then I can copy that and steal that, for myself. Or how do they get higher ratings from their passengers than I do? Like, you can look into it. You can ride as a passenger in their vehicle and see what they do different. So there's another facet to the same behavior to, not suck at everything you're doing. And isn't that really the whole, premise of existing? While you're on this earth, while you live, while you draw breath, while you have a pulse, you should be trying on a daily basis to be more than you were yesterday, to be less crappy at everything you do and more effective at everything you do. Because at the end of the day, what's at stake is not other people's opinion of you, but the quality of your own life. Yeah? Well, then we get into, authority, government and so forth, or, just your boss at work, any form of authority. Authority being a human construct and of the biological hierarchy and being, prey to all the fallacies and failings and shortcomings of everything else that lives and breathes and exists. Oftentimes, authority doesn't know what it wants and what it's doing at any given time. Hell, for sure that a lot of branches of the government do things on their own volition and never inform the whole. Like, you can be on Social Security disability and get those benefits and be enrolled in that. And the IRS, which has every reason to be clued in as to what you're getting from Social Security to better, tax the living bejesus out of you, they don't know. So if you just go to do your taxes and don't mention your Social Security benefits, IRS won't know because Social Security never sent them a memo saying, hey, this guy over here gets X amount per month from us and we pay for his health care. Well, that would be good information to have when the IRS did your taxes, wouldn't it? No, they want you to do all that. Well, geez, government. So you're meaning to tell me that an overarching authority that oversees every element of society and personal individual existences isn't effective and efficient enough to know what its own self is doing? That it needs an external party, you, the private citizen, to basically tell on yourself to them because they're not capable or competent enough to figure that out within the own mechanisms of their own design that they envisioned and construed and came up with and constructed? Imagine that. So IRS and Social Security dichotomy is a very interesting and visible example of why the government sucks at running your life for you. And now you want these people who, coincidentally, ran concentration camps during World War II and basically had Japanese Americans caged up because they were Japanese American. Concentration camps where people were rounded up based upon what they were, not who they were, not what they were about, not what they were like, just what they were, rounded up and treated as second-class citizens. You had the Tuskegee experiments where people were basically literally intentionally infected with things like syphilis and then just left untreated to see what happened. Like, this is the government that you want to step in and, make the world less racist. That's interesting. So you're going to rely on the same government that did all that had endless Native American massacres on their roster to come in and make sure that, you're going to live in a less hateful society. That's very stupid of you. You are very stupid. Nobody should listen to you. You shouldn't listen to yourself. You probably need somebody to tell you what to think and do because clearly you're doing a terrible job at it. But I wouldn't go to the government because all the things I just said. And that's just, like that. There are other issues like money, the economy. There's so many people who are like, oh, the government needs to this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other. And you got these delightfully precious children who don't know the first thing about productivity and the economy, going around trying to tell everybody how they need to live and how they need to handle their affairs and my communism and my socialism and this, that, and the other. All you've ever had is an hourly job. You're incompetent. You've never amounted to anything. You don't have a pot to piss in if you didn't sleep on your parents' couch. You don't know anything. You should shut up and sit down. I'm going to tell it to you. You're dumb. You're stupid. Nobody probably told you yet, but you are. Unforgivably so, because there's books out there that aren't very thick that will tell you everything that you don't know, so that you stop sounding like a complete moron every time you open your breath to do anything other than shovel food into it or breathe. Or put a penis in it, I guess, because a lot of you seem to be into that. Look, the government is trillions of dollars in debt. The government sends pallets of cash to terrorists to not do terrorist things, which they then watch the terrorists spend that money on doing terrorist things, and then they give them more next year. That's what the government does with money. So you want these people to centralize and run the economy for you? You want these people to control all the jobs and all productivity? You think these people who did this and put Native Americans on reservations and who basically, allowed Union states to keep slaves after they made the South give up all theirs, and, they ran concentration camps for Japanese Americans. You think that sounds like an equal opportunity employer? Do you honestly think that the United States military, industrial complex is safer and more effective, bowing out to like all this anti-human transgenderism nonsense? Do you think that's going to make you safer and more effective on a battlefield? You're not even being trained properly anymore. People can't do certain exercises, so we're just going to replace them with these. And now anybody can do them. So if anybody can do these exercises, then you're not getting the best, most effective fighting force. You're getting a bunch of incompetent children who have hunched backs, beer guts, or, chicken tendy guts, soy guts, whatever you want to call it. These ridiculously stupid, fruit beards and top knots. Like, these people aren't going to save your bacon in the field. You're going to die, and they're going to sit there in a fetal position, watch it happen, and then die themselves. When you get hit by enemy fire and you can be dragged to safety and triaged and kept alive and go on with your life and survive the incident, you're going to die instead because the people that they're putting next to you are worthless. So that's what you get. Now, am I some kind of anarchist? Absolutely not. I believe that there should be some kind of overruling system of rules and laws. I believe that there should be some type of governmental body that's keeping us all safe from foreign and domestic things. I believe that we need some type of government mediation between, state trade so that there is some kind of normalization to economic trade. That is to say, I don't think the government's role is to exist solely to regulate the economy. They can't regulate their own spending, and you want them to regulate everyone else's. I don't trust the government for any of those behaviors. I don't trust those governments to perform any of those tasks. I can't trust my government to renew my driver's license because the stupid clowns that run the computers at the DMV shouldn't need hours and hours and hours to do such a simple task. It literally takes, if they do their job, about 7 to 9 minutes to ask you questions, test your eyes, Take a picture, make sure all this shit on the card is correct, and then print you a new ID. Takes about 7 to 9 minutes per. But that's not how long it takes, is it? No. Because you're letting the government do a bunch of things that they just suck at. Because guess what? Everybody in the government, just like you, is a person. And every person out there falls short on a daily basis in a lot of ways. Does that mean everybody just arbitrarily sucks? Yes. Yes, it does. That's exactly what it means. Unless you're actively working on a continuous, second by second, moment by moment basis to suck less, you're going to suck more. It's just like exercise, you're either consuming more calories than you're putting in your face, or you're consuming less calories than you're putting in your face. You're either gaining or losing. You're either becoming less shitty as a human being, or you're becoming more shitty as a human being every moment you're on this earth. And unless it's your life efforts to become less shitty, then every day you wake up, you're just going to be shittier than you were yesterday. So I have to tell you, the government clearly knows more about stagnation, corruption, and general incompetence than they know about becoming cleaner, leaner, and more effective at what they do. Generally, when they want to become more efficient, what they do is lay off a bunch of people or close a department, which isn't fundamentally wrong. I would love to see a lot of 3-letter agencies shut down, especially the IRS. Income tax was never meant to be permanent. It was just a short-term thing that kind of like pumped some money into the economy after the Civil War to kind of like rebuild a few things and get things kind of sorted out and get everybody back to work. But that's not what it turned into, is it? No. Now it's permanent. Now they're taxing you on making money. And so everybody thinks it's a great idea to go, get freaking welfare and pump out a bunch of babies so that you can live off the existence of your children on this earth and watch your kids go in and out of jail because you done ran off your man because you know damn well if you get married, it'll ruin your whole selfish scheme to keep your fucking nails did. How about you get a fucking job? How about that? I'm just going to get right out there and say it. I see a bunch of bums walking around the street, smoking crack, getting drunk. You think they can't do anything? They're just totally worthless? Can't? No. They are capable of going and finding the money to go smoke crack and drink booze. If they're capable of that, they should be capable of paying some fucking bills and putting a roof over their head and getting off the goddamn street. Nobody should be getting free money. I don't give a shit. And I don't need for money to be taken out of my income to pay some old person who's too old to work because he paid into the system. Instead of paying into the system, he should have saved his money for retirement. And then he wouldn't have to worry about taking all my money to live while he's too old to work. Yes, everybody gets too old to work at some point if they live long enough. That is not grounds to gouge me. You need to save your money. Put your freaking acorns in the ground. Bury your nuts and have them when you're hungry later. That's your job. And if you don't do it, be Darwinized. You think anybody gives a shit whether I live or die? They don't. Nobody cares whether you live or die. Maybe your mommy and daddy love you, but at the end of the day, they're probably going to die before you do, and there you'll be on this earth alone. And fuck you anyway. Everybody out there, me, you, everybody needs to provide for themselves. I don't want a bailout. Maybe I need help every now and then, and if I'm willing to trade for that help in some way, like help somebody else in exchange or have some kind of plan to pay back what I've borrowed or something of that nature, that's fine. It's okay to get help. What's not okay is for you to just live off of other people's efforts with no return on your part. You need to give something back for everything that you take. It's called equity. Real equity. Equity being a fiscal term. There is no social connotation for equity. The social equity that you're hearing about is horse shit. Anybody that believes it deserves the worst that they'll ever experience. And believe me, you. Or believe you, me. Whichever way it goes. They're gonna get the worst. Because that's all they deserve. They're trash. Equality is the only social construct that you need to be pushing for. Equality of access, equality of opportunity, and equality of meritocracy. Equality under the law. Two people get the same job and one of them does well and the other does poorly. It doesn't need to be equity between them. One is not the same as the other. They're two different people. One's working, the other one's picking their nose. Fire the guy that's picking his nose. That's equality. And if equity is keeping them both hired and giving the nose picker a raise, then fuck your equity and fuck you. I don't care about fairness. Fairness can go die in a corner somewhere, miserable and alone like it deserves to be. You don't need a handout from the government and you don't need my taxpayer money. You need to get your fuck ass to work. And if everybody had that attitude and stopped leaning on Uncle Sam so much and did their own shit, and Uncle Sam took his fingers out of our goddamn purses so that you could earn money unfettered, oh, they can still tax every dollar you make 9 ways from Sunday. As soon as you go spend your money, you're getting taxed. As soon as you buy something, you usually get taxed on owning it. Like my car, I have to register the tag every year. It's a small thing, but I still have to pay to have my car on the road. I have to, by law, have insurance on my car, which that costs a hell of a lot more than $20 some odd a year for the tag. I'm paying for my car every day, even if I owned it outright. And if I buy property and land, I still have to pay for the land on a continuous basis. That's life. So, don't sit here and tell me that the government benefits in any way from income tax. It's bullshit. They need to get their hands out of our purse strings. They get all of our money anyways at the end of the day. So why the fuck can't they be patient and let us go earn so that they can actually cut down on their spending budget? Well, because when somebody pays for your housing, they own the house. When you're living at your mom and dad's and they're paying the rent there or they're paying the mortgage and you're under their roof, it's their rules or you get the fuck out. So when you let the government, compensate you for your rent costs and subsidize your living and pay you $3,000 a month because you have 8 kids, you don't know where the fuck any of them are right now, do you? And I bet you anything, they're all illiterate. Yeah, but great looking nails and hair you got there. Guess what? The government owns you and they can take those benefits away anytime and there the fuck you'll sit. And honestly, I hope it happens to you because then it'll be a nice wake up call for you that you should have went and got your own instead of leeching off the system like the breeder that you are. So, something to think about. It's something to really, really put some deep thought into. You people disgust me. I hate myself, but I hate you more. And I hate you because I see so much potential in you that you don't see in yourself because you're too busy shoveling a bunch of shit into your mouth and filling up your eyes and ears with a bunch more shit from the media that has nothing to do with your life. You got some dude in the fucking president's seat that you want to blame everything on, but when was the last time you wiped your own ass? When was the last time you were any kind of independent in any facet of your life? Get off your ass and go get a job. Go to work. Stop it. Seriously. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to start caring until you start caring. If you want people to care that you exist, you need to give them a reason to care that you exist. You need to be having an impact in your community and upon the greater world in some way, even if it's small and indirect. If you have no impact and all you're doing is occupying space at home on your parents' couch playing COD, you are nothing. You are trash, and they should throw you in a landfill. That is all.